My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. Alrighty, this is the P.O.C. Not only is this not a takeoff, they're hovering. They're flying over the people that are over 55 years old. John Stewart Company is being prosecuted for gang stalking as well, including all the elderly that are inside of this building, gang stalking while the government prosecutes the people, their co-defendant for me. They are in relevant position. The entities engaged in this while I'm documenting the entities stalking me by helicopter. These are the psychopaths. Why are they stalking in this? These are the ones that consume babies. They consume flesh, human flesh. They consume the feces of the humans that they are stalking, like myself, which is why they maintain surveillance of my genitalia in every bathroom, where they are also stalking me at those venues where they're targeting with the people of the state who go in and maintain surveillance inside of venues and do so pursuant to what is a mentally ill pattern of conduct. Do you know what time it is right now? I'll go ahead and tell you. It's 2:07 a.m. There are no flights that are scheduled from an airport, any airport, including Ontario International Airport, that includes flying miles away to still engage in what is hovering over the city in Ontario. That is a plane that is drifting through the sky space that has still not maintained any takeoff. That's not a takeoff. And there are no passengers. These are all the conclusions that you're getting. This is judicially noticed facts. There's no passengers. The entity's flying over downtown Ontario luxury apartments now. They're floating over Euclid Avenue. They're engaging in the pattern of conduct pursuant to stalking me, engaging what is federal stalking on the venue of the internet in concert with these demons that are stalking in the path on the roads and the highways that are losing California licensure in the state. There will be no gang stalkers, terrorists on the roads and the highways. They commit murder. They're maintaining a fraudulent insurance system in California as they commit murder. This is the P.O.C. This is the entity that's engaging in psychoting. Seconds later, there's no planes, there's no takeoff. This is the entity blatantly stalking. This is the entity that's consuming human flesh and stalking and committing murder. This is the fake moon. And that's a demon engaging what is audible activity while I'm pointing out, and the demons that consume babies and consume the feces of babies and engaging in stalking in this psychopathic manner are stalking with under the fake moon. This is the mentally ill conduct of demons, not humans. These are not humans. They consume humans. These are the demons that engage in child trafficking. The entity that is calling itself the U.S. military are hitmen. They kidnap babies in order to have sex with them. They consume them. They kidnap them. They dismember their bodies. They bury them. And they have the people of the state commit those egregious acts with them in the same way that they're gang stalking with them. Okay? The people of the state that are over 55 inside of John Stewart Company, they're being federally prosecuted, every single resident. There's 76 units inside of that building, and they're all defendants in the case against the U.S. government. They're third parties. They're monitoring, and your criminal activity is underway. It is completed while the government flies over the apartment building in the specific environment where the fake sun rises and sets, and the entity maintains an environment such as Union Pacific and possible audible activity as I turn my back, monitoring. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 2:09 a.m. I just want you to hear, and then I want you to see this, and then look at all the pictures, minute after minute of ongoing flights. This is the entity's obsession with me. And you need to understand, it's down to the people. You need to understand, Alan inside of the Open Public Library, Sean Thrasher, that has defamed my character inside of the Open Family Community Library, they're obsessed with me. They're demons. This is a pattern of conduct while the entity is exhibiting that pattern with psychopathic pacing at 2:43 in the morning when they're not flying anywhere and they're lined up with planes hovering in the sky space to fly over again and again and again and again. This is the entity that's engaging in that. And you know who's liable for it and who also knows about it? Paul Leon, that's a gang stalker who is obsessed with me. He's obsessed because he's mentally ill. He's a demon. And this is everyone's secrets that are fully exposed simultaneously while you engage in the absurd and the highly deranged and expensive. The money that they spend on stalking is letting you know that it is absolutely true what I already stated. They eat human beings. They kidnap children to have sex with them. They like to do it on the internet as well. And then they also like to claim that they're the same ones investigating what are missing persons, missing children, ones that they're consuming as they obsessively monitor. That's what's going on. You need to understand, the ones that you see walking all day long on their skateboards with their strollers, they're all obsessed. They are all the same obsessed entity. They're doing this at 2:44 a.m. And look at the pictures, because I took pictures as well. Not even of all of them, because some of them I'm going to send on X. But it's minute after minute after minute after minute of ongoing stalking. And the people of the state, there are demons that are outside right now. They don't want to be seen at 2:44 walking by. But you already know the pattern of conduct. They're not doing it without the people. And they are also in relevant position because they're inside of the buildings. But remember, they're stalking so heavily under the fake moon, where the fake sun rises, where the fake sun sets, and where the fake moon is over me. They are all stalking, even inside of the buildings. They're stalking on the roads and the highways, and you have creepers that are outside in relevant position while the entity is engaging in that. I just want to be clear. Every single last person, including even Janice, where you heard me helping her, this is a demon that is obsessed. Okay? Everything that they're saying, it's nothing other than audible activity. These are not humans, they're creatures. All the money that they're spending, this is literally illogical, nonsensical level of overt stalking. Why are the military obsessed with me? Because they are not humans. This is beyond criminal activity. This is mentally ill conduct of those that have designed themselves to appear as humans. These are demons. And they literally consume humans. They stalk them and monitor them. This is the P.O.C. This is relevant for martial law and involuntary commitment. P.O.C. This is P.O.C. This is Vos Church at Vine Avenue and Hull. License 8 Charlie Bob 806, and that's Frontier Airlines that's gang stalking me. The P.O.C. And this is the entity. You're looking at what Southwest Airlines is doing in the image that I just captured at approximately 5:40. I believe it was 5:46 a.m. You're looking at the hovering elevation. You're looking at even what the entity was doing at 2 o'clock in the morning. We all know that this is stalking. Frontier Airlines is stalking. All right, the entity is engaging in this conduct over the Tim Freeway, where there are also gang stalking pilots that are the military that are engaging in stalking the person whose job it is to prosecute the person that they were never going to successfully engage in this system nor successfully sacrifice. Okay, and this is the sacrifice of Frontier Airlines as a business, the sacrifice of Vos Church. Okay, Vos Church is the corrupt entity that is gang stalking. That's why it's covered in engineer light, because I'm under surveillance at this fake church. This is the fake sun that is in alignment to me here. This is the fake sun that's in alignment. You can see it reflecting off of it, but this is all impossible light. Remember, Vos Church, this is the same location where environment is here. This entity is stalking because the people are always gang stalking. That is what was happening at 2 o'clock this morning. The people are always targeting their shared mental illness. That train activity, just like at the library, it's not the actual train. There's no train on the tracks over here. This is where Union Pacific is the guise of audible noise, where stalkers are surrounding everybody that lives in these homes. As my shadows appearing across the street, as a demon's crossing path, license 6LEW549. They're being prosecuted, losing their licensure. They won't be on the roads and the highways. They will not be congregating in fake churches as an expression of their so-called freedom. They're monitoring. They're engaging in terrorism, which is why the government is flying over the building in engineer light. You'll be prosecuted whether you are open during business hours or not. The entity's engaging in this at what is the Vos Church, both at 303 North Euclid Avenue and this Vine Church, where I'm documenting the same terrorism on both sides of this church. That's the parking lot side along Vine Avenue, and this is Vine Avenue and B Street, and the Holt Boulevard, where you see the same military that stalks me as I go to Holt Boulevard, and that's the plane activity along this street. All right, and all of the people of the state are stalking as well. I'm going to show you the face because this is documentation regarding the prosecution of, again, as I stop walking, that's the amplified is no train in motion. This is the city that's stalking, and that's psychopathic pacing, one turn after another, after another, after another. Stalking on the streets, martial law, they're losing California driver licensure. This is P.O.C. This is, as a matter of history, where I'm documenting the entity gang stalking me at 5 o'clock in the evening. I'm standing on the same street where the people of the state are showing themselves to be severely mentally ill as the demons stalking by plane at 5 o'clock in the morning, 2:44 a.m., 2:42 a.m., 2:39 a.m., one plane after another, and engaging in what is psychopathic pacing. This is what is happening at what is Vos Church, which is a facilitating venue, the corporate entity. This is not the sun, nor is it sunlight. This is the crime scene. The same street where the post office is located, where the fake sun is over me in the afternoon, if you'll recall my evidence just yesterday, where the entity never took the sun to Upland, California, and where I am here, subject to the pattern of conduct, where the entity Omnitrans is stalking on the roads and the highways, and the entity is flying and stalking by helicopter while the fake sun is over me. License 62252, Paul 1. Okay, this is a demon with his female counterpart, and they're both engaging in surveillance. The people of the state, including their families, these are all creatures. These are demons that are here keeping humans that they consume, that they sexually violate, they murder and kidnap, and they do that with a population that's not engaged in law enforcement either. They do it in concert with them. And this is where they're in doing so holding fake churches that are engaging in surveillance. That's what Vos Church is. And they're engaging in this under the fake sun, which is where I'm right here after 5 p.m. and I'll attach that video. This is P.O.C. This is showing the corporate entity. That is the Satan's church, the false church, maintaining the business in the United States, trying to masquerade as Christ Jesus Church. It is not. This is P.O.C. All right, Omnitrans, gang stalking, Route 61, license 1656583, vehicle 1363, stopping where there's no bus stop to monitor. Okay, that's the P.O.C. No bus stop right here. Left the bus stop. Targeting. License, that's to monitor. This is the P.O.C. This is the bus line that's going out of business. All right, I've documented that plenty of times. That's Omnitrans. That's at 5 p.m. Driving an engineer light. Very mentally ill, unsafe for the public. They're being taken off the roads and the highways. And they are also going to prison for gang stalking with the military, as I'm documenting on this street. And Omnitrans, it's not a coincidence, as I refer to them. They're engaging in crossing path targeting, both while they're following the schedule and while they deviate from what the procedure is and what the schedule targeting me, okay? And they by virtue of the specific environment where they're running a transit line. This is P.O.C. Omnitrans is gangster. This is the fake sun. This is P.O.C. Fake sun is in alignment where Omnitrans just engaged in that, and that's the evidence of Omnitrans targeting. All right, that's the P.O.C. It is currently 6:09 a.m. License plate 8 Sam Thomas Charlie 715. In stride, okay? In stride with the military. That's a co-conspirator of murder, and so is Stater Brothers, where they're at the venue. These are freak weirdos, stalkers, non-humans that consume humans that they're gang stalking. They're already stalking by being in their vehicle in order to engage in this very kind of crossing path while the demons are stalking together. The ongoing in concert behavior, simultaneous behavior, is not because they're on the phone engaging in triangulation. It's because they're demons. License plate 7B 20708. And this is the prosecution. Everybody in Stater Brothers is going to federal prison, okay? And the entire airline industry, I'm federally prosecuting, criminally prosecuting companies that are engaging in terrorism. And this is the entity, which is the entity's, the entire shopping plaza. The entire venue is being federally prosecuted. This is the fake sun, which I also have. It is currently 6:13 a.m., 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4. 11 hours later, the fake sun is still here as I'm subject to terrorism by Stater Brothers and this entire shopping plaza, facilitating the pattern of conduct in the same psychopathic manner, doing so while they are stalking me. And the reason why Stater Brothers is stalking, the reason why Ontario's shopping village is engaging in gang stalking is because they have conspired to murder me. And in the face of that widely publicized failure, you are, first of all, number one, able to see who is the pedophile and who's the murderer. The demons that are stalking together, okay? Us that committed murder in Kentucky, number one. Number two, the people of the state that are not free citizens. They're not individuals. These are demons, and they are the ones engaging in surveillance at all venues. It doesn't matter what it is. This is just a building that's being used as a grocery store, surveillance. The building that's being used as a library, surveillance. The building that's being used as a residence for the people of the state, surveillance, and they're being federally prosecuted in all facets of society. Where the government system is exposed as the unintelligent, who are proven to be the stalker, are the ones that they are also the pedophile and the murderer. The entity that defamed my character by kidnapping me, number one, stealing this evidence, my intellectual property, and also by seeking to engage in what is attempted murder. Murder, it's trying to take my life over and over again, what Stater Brothers employees are going to prison for, but also because this entity that's stalking the military are murderers. They're hitmen, killing people, and then the entity, including the lies that come out of the mouth of Tracy Banks, she's lying and uttering that which they are guilty of. And you're seeing the proof that they're guilty. They're gang stalking. This is the proof that they have committed murders that they tried to blame me for, and they are the people of the state, the same ones that are gang stalking. Yes, they are both gang stalking me, admittedly know who I am, surveillance, and they are the ones that are guilty for crimes while they gang stalk the one that they seek to falsely accuse. They're going to prison for all of the above. They're being prosecuted as a society. It's currently 6:15 a.m. Stater Brothers employees are going to prison. P.O.C.
Yeah, it was.
Alrighty, what you see is Southwest Airlines. That is also the corporate actor Stater Brothers, the corporate actor regarding what is the Ontario Village Shopping Center, the property management company that's being federally prosecuted. Southwest Airlines hovers over the parking lot while the employees are gang stalking, and you will also see the engineer light that's all over the parking lot. They are going to prison. I'm going to capture the entity crossing path right here, African American. while the entity is also engaging in that pattern of conduct. And this is what they're doing pertaining to my vagina as well. They're going to prison, and they're sex offenders, and so is the company. This is P.O.C. This is pacing while they walk in and out of the rest of the, this isn't the restroom. This is the grocery store. David Quinones is going to prison, okay? He's, you can see his face on the signage outside of the facilitating venue. This is the entity that's threatening and terrorizing, and this is also why you're going to prison by virtue of selling food. This is psychopathic. They're doing right in front of you. This is what they're forced to do. But they're also doing so as mentally ill people. The African American, I've documented him driving the Honda. He's operating a different vehicle now. I got that license plate anyway. These are the employees engaging in the pattern of conduct with the customers. They are all third parties, and the entity itself, Stater Brothers, is engaging in that. And every Stater Brothers is engaging in the pattern of conduct, which my evidence also shows. This is why I have the Stater Brothers in San Bernardino, the Stater Brothers in Chino, California, the Stater Brothers in Ontario off of 4th Street, the Stater Brothers in Upland, California. This is an entity that's engaging in a pattern of conduct that the military is directly sharing in with them, and that is an unprecedented prosecution. Griffith Company is surrounding in the parking lot with light activity. This is mentally ill behavior. And remember, Cursed Womb that's stalking me on Holt Boulevard yesterday, she comes to Stater Brothers, and Stater Brothers is intentionally threatening as well, engaging in that P.O.C., and here she is right here, pulling up, while keeping the evidence under surveillance. There are no coincidences here. Okay? These are demons that are engaging in demonic behaviors, which is mentally ill behaviors. She's going to prison. She's going to be committed, just like the rest of them. Alrighty, this is the entity that's following with a fake son that's not going to be on Holt Boulevard where Cursed Womb, license 8YNC. License 8YNC992. I'm going to get a shot of her and the entity stalking by plane. She is going to be committed, P.O.C. All right, David Quinones is going to prison as well. Alrighty, this is the entity that's engaging in the sex offense, and they're stalking on the surveillance cameras, which I'm referencing. This is the P.O.C. All right, Kia is gang stalking at register number 1. She's going to prison. Good morning. Is the restroom open? Okay. This is P.O.C. I am an engineered light in the hallway, capturing images of that right now. Hold on. Yeah, that's impossible light activity. This is with reference to monitoring where the entity is flying over by planes. Stater Brothers is being prosecuted as a sex offender and is engaging in that, while this demon that's stalking me on the roads and the highways, 8YNC992, is stalking at the grocery store, and the grocery store is literally stalking. Alrighty, this is P.O.C. This is the entity that is mentally ill, engaging in this level of criminal conduct while they are shown to be and proven and engaging in stalking, which is an entity that's engaging in attacking you, okay? And so they're doing it under no secretive circumstances, and that's also informing sentencing for Stater Brothers personnel and damages regarding Stater Brothers, the corporation under the law, a person that is going to compensate me for this very criminal activity, which it is systematically engaging in. Okay, gang stalking is underway by Kia at register number 1. They're stalking in the path, they're pacing on the inside of a building as I ask her whether, in order to prove presence and document criminal activity, literally her work schedule is the evidence of her criminal activity, while the entity is engaging in what is psychopathic pacing, following me from place to place as an airport, following me under a fake sun where you work at that venue, and Kia is going to prison because she's a malicious terrorist who was never intended to be exposed. And not only is she exposed, she's still engaging in what is attacking me, levying war, and she's going to prison for that. Employment at a facilitating venue, engaging in this criminal conduct like all her co-workers are, and she is, in concert with the customers, is a systematic facilitation. You're going to prison for systematic facilitation. This is P.O.C. She's also going to prison for poisoning me. She's also going to federal prison for ongoing obstruction of justice, where the demons are engaging in criminal activity. They engage in that which is suicidal behavior. This is what the Ontario Police Department is tantamount to engaging in yesterday. Just driving up right next to you for you to document them, you're going straight to prison. What sane defendant does that? It's not an innocent one. They're doing it under the very evidence that the military courts are fully aware of, apprised of. They're doing this because of the severe mental instability. The demon-possessed that are obsessed with you will engage in, that is Satan, will engage in attacking you more, not slowing that down. Regardless of that, they will, again, sacrifice themselves while they have lost the sacrifice
of you, okay? This is why I say do not gather with them. This is why I say this is for you to recognize who they are, the demon-possessed, the lost, the dead, who engage in hunting humans. They consume them. They want to masquerade around as them. These are the demon-possessed that are monitoring us. They are not like us. They're monitoring us. They're copying and killing you and trying to replace you. And they're doing it as a corrupt government system in the U.S. and around the globe. It is currently 6:23 a.m. This is an epic prosecution against a corporation that's going to compensate me for that which they have never contended with in a court. And these are non-humans that are not thinking about that right now. They're more obsessed with me, the one that is embarrassing them, and because they're embarrassed, they continuously engage in it. And how are you measuring what it is that I just described? Because the entity literally did plane after plane after plane over the parking lot, and they engaged in what is pacing in and out of the entrance doors, while that obvious aspect of the pattern of conduct is underway under a fake sun, including the stalker, the cursed womb, the box-shaped Caucasian woman that is obsessed with me, is stalking on Hope Boulevard, is stalking at the same venue at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and pulled up at the same time as I referred to her. That is not a coincidence. That is demons that are stalking with activity. Heavy, heavy surveillance is what you're witnessing. I'm going to compensate, and this is a company that's not going to exist when I'm done with them, okay? And justice is served by that. It is 6:24 a.m. This is P.O.C. This is P.O.C. Yes.
So Amanda let you know I was going to try and get you a room.
Why would you do that?
Just to help you if you want to take a shower and lay in a bed.
And what makes you want to pay for a room? Where did you come from?
Anyway, call me next Friday.
Okay, this is P.O.C. This is A, and the U.S. military is stalking. She's got double shadows. She is monitoring, and she is stalking. These are the same pacing at the refrigeration aisle. Tracy Banks comes in gang stalk with the people of the state. These are creatures. All right, and so is Tracy. They're all demons, and they're psychotic, looking to the side, staring at the can, the soy sauce, while they're monitoring. This is why they're getting committed. I just took pictures of them stalking me at the refrigeration aisle, and Tracy Banks, that's gang stalking the entire time, walks up to me in the store out of nowhere. That's how much of a stalker Tracy is. She's a demon just like the rest of them. The employees of Stater Brothers are going to prison. You see where they're moving? This is all engineer light. They're stalking. This is the evidence of their mental illness. This is the P.O.C. This is the evidence of Tracy Banks' mental illness. Okay, this is a demon that's obsessed with my vagina and is engaged in what is referring to a hotel room as some sort of incentive for me to speak to her. I don't need a hotel room from her. She's engaged in stealing my money, trying to steal my identity, as are the demons that are gang stalking with her right here. This is the P.O.C. and the employees are going to prison. Okay, the employees are stalking with the customers that enter into the store under the fake sun and looking all around like they are psychotic. Not the evidence that you're not stalking, it's the evidence to have you committed. The entity's going to federal prison for this. They're flying over the grocery store, keeping a fake sun. They're getting deported, they're losing custody of children, and they are all also going to be prosecuted as terrorists. This is the P.O.C. and this is the necessity of martial law. Alrighty? You don't have to say anything in the engineer light. Okay? But when you see their behavior, you're looking at what is absurdly psychotic. Tracy Banks is a threat, and so is the entity that is gang stalking with her. This is the entity that's engaging in that together with Tracy, conspiring against me, my life with Tracy, who is referring to a hotel room, and she's not referring to the money that she has stolen with the government and defaming my character, lying about being my biological mother. Those are all the things that she's not speaking about while she's gang stalking. And the first thing that she can think about, she's a simpleton, is a hotel room. She's going to prison. This is the P.O.C. This is Stater Brothers threatening my life and safety by gang stalking with Tracy Banks and gang stalking with the people of the state who are staring at the products while they're monitoring in the engineer light. This is P.O.C. All right, these are vagina monitors. All right, these are the demons that are stalking as an entity, and they're not changing the subject from themselves. They're going on X, and I'm going to show you the faces of a bunch of lesbians that are stalking. So you're looking for spaghetti, and they're always staring at their devices. These are the same creatures that consume babies. They consume human flesh. They consume the feces of them. They engage in stalking them in all places, and they commit murder and kidnapping with the entity that's gang stalking. David Quinones is going to prison, and so is every employee that's gang stalking right along with them. This is called surveillance, hiding behind products that you're stalking. It's the same criminal presence in the path under the fake sun, while the customers are following me around, helping the employees gang stalk. This is the P.O.C. This is the entity flying over by plane after plane after plane after plane. All right, that's what the entity is engaging in. Alrighty, that is the entity that's gang stalking. Tracy Banks represents a threat. She is no friend. She's not a helper. She's not even my mother, not my biological mother. And she's lying about that, and she's lying about her presence. But it doesn't matter what she says. She could talk about Barney. She's engaging in criminal presence in the path and furtherance of murder. She's going to prison for that. This is the P.O.C. All right, this is where the U.S. military is stalking over the parking lot, and she's talking about a hotel room. All right, remember, at every hotel room, I'm being gang stalked. They're all being prosecuted. She's monitoring. Employees stalking in the path, demon, in the engineer light. While the entity's fun, the employees are up here. They're all going to prison. All the managers, all of them. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 7:08 a.m. This is what the entity just pulled out of its pocket while I prosecute on the internet. Look at what's published on X and published on Instagram, published on Facebook. Stater Brothers employees are demons, and they're a part of the conspiracy to commit murder against those that they're gang stalking. These aren't humans. These are the same creatures stalking in planes. And that was a desperation, an act of desperation right there, which is a threat to national security while a population engages in that. They're literally stalking while refusing to look at you. That's psychotic. They are obsessively stalking, though. And the corporation itself is being prosecuted for this. This is called psychological torture against the prosecutor who was going to testify against you to have you committed. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 7:09 a.m. Alrighty, this is P.O.C. Monitoring with the city of Upland, monitoring as a corporate actor, monitoring while mentally ill and maintaining a business while they are contracting with the developmentally challenged. License 19924 Kelly 4. OPARC is gang stalking public library with the Ontario Ovid Family Community Library, the people of the state where sunlight's not moving across the brick wall while you're driving what is under the fake sun. It is not the explanation for that evidence that OPARC is severely mentally unstable, and they are engaging in what is criminal abuse of its clients, making money off of that abuse while engaging in federal stalking and targeting me in furtherance of murder, and they are simultaneously violating the Welfare and Institutions Code against their developmentally challenged clients who are equally gang stalking. And so is OPARC, and OPARC shall be federally prosecuted for engaging in ongoing harassment while the same psychopathic disorder possesses those that are operating and are working for that gang stalking company, which I'm going to prosecute and exhaust. No demons, no terrorists, and no mentally ill entity is going to maintain a company like OPARC where you are yourself unfit and mentally unstable. Because that's what that company is representing. That's what that company is engaged in. That which is a threat to the public, i.e. mentally ill practices, while they're engaging in criminal activity pursuant to public corruption. And they are further incentivized to do so the more that I document those demons. Okay, the entity is doing so at what is 1521 North San Antonio Avenue. This is where the entity is stalking with signage. This is what California Highway Patrol is doing at the same bridge. This is what the entity is doing while gang stalk with UtiliQuest using the truck. This is what diversified landscaping companies doing with light activity. While this is the same location where they're stalking by helicopter. These are the demons engaging in psychopathic pacing. What he is doing so with the city of Upland, the city of Ontario. Okay, place that logo with what is putting Polly in prison, okay? They're stalking in vehicles that are paid for by the city that is gang stalking. The fake son that's not remaining at the Ontario Senior Center where they're stalking in those vehicles, monitoring my vagina, all right? The city that's paying for any means of surveillance is the city that's being prosecuted as an entity, and that gang stalking mayor government is being prosecuted. And Paulion's going to prison for kidnapping me as an entity. This is P.O.C. OPARC is targeting. That fake son is not moving simultaneously over them. They are not sharing the same position that I have while the entity is engaging in me in furtherance of murder, which is what the corporate entity is engaging in, okay? It is currently 8:33 a.m. and I am on this street. My documentation shows I am subject to the pattern of conduct by this same entity. Everybody in there, they're all being prosecuted while I target OPARC with the evidence of gang stalking. 8 RKD 643. This is P.O.C. This is the entity that is indeed engaging in that mentally ill behavior. And you are unfit to maintain any company pertaining to the developmentally challenged. They're all engaged in what they're psychologically challenged, while they're demons that are engaging in criminal activity. Those that are affiliated with OPARC, working for OPARC, are psychopathic. That's the malice of demons that are in the medical field, engaging in gang stalking while in custody of those that are developmentally challenged under that illusion that one's mentally ill and the other isn't. They're all gang stalking, and they're all also mentally ill, the P.O.C. It is currently 8:34 a.m. Alrighty, this is P.O.C. It is currently, I can give you the time, 9:07 a.m. This is stalking by corporate actors, criminal facilitation, with the people of the state. 9 Sam Mary Zebra 254, and Bring Security is stalking just like they are at 5 in the evening at the Ontario Village Shopping Center, where I just came from, and the fake sun's over me in the morning. You know that Bring Security is gang, while after 5 p.m. the fake sun's over that same Ontario Village Shopping Center. This is my ability to prosecute them while they're stalking me, maintaining surveillance, that is, as corporate actors. And I'm showing you that same entity at a venue that I just came from in the morning, where the sun would not be at that same location. That is Bring Security stalking on the roads and the highways. They carry guns while they're actually engaging in surveillance under the guise of picking up monies. That's called malice. While the entity, the military, is stalking, and they're engaging in while Impossible Lights moving across Hoff Orthodontics, and everybody inside there is not fit to be in any aspect of the medical field, including near dentistry, where they're incompetent. They can't even just fix teeth, clean teeth. They're gang stalking while doing so. This is the entity that's going to be removed from your licensure, your status to do. You're not keeping it. You're not keeping it. This entity is gang stalking. This is documenting more than one corporate actor at the same time. 7-Eleven, while Bring Security is here in the morning, while Bring Security is at Ontario Village Shopping Center in the evening. I'm at 7-Eleven in the morning. I'm at 7-Eleven at 6 and 7 o'clock in the evening. This is the entity that is surrounded with evidence. The city of Upland is targeting, while West Coast Arborist Inc. is the guys for criminal facilitation. This is activity creation. So in other words, they're doing something under the fake sun, something that's creating light activity, something that's causing for massive presence, something that is malicious, meaning appearing as one thing on the surface and accomplishing something unfathomable, criminal, and mentally ill. On another level, monitoring. License plate D751F8, I believe. That's Nevada, under all circumstances. This is P.O.C. This is a demon stalking in the path over me at what is 9th Street and Euclid Avenue at 9:09 a.m. Sorry. The pattern of conduct and my presence at the 7-Eleven in the evening, where the entity is stalking me by helicopter at the Methodist cult. That's a cult over there, gang stalking, but the government is a cult, and all of these are cult members. They're monitoring together, and they're all being prosecuted. This is the basis for martial law. This is one demon after another, one demon after another, one demon. He honks his horn while I'm moving. One demon after another. And you know what this is in the sky space? One plane after another, one plane after another, one plane after another. Helicopter flying in circle over and over and over and over. It's psychopathic pacing. These are the demons that conspire murder. And they are engaging in this while West Coast Arborist is exhibiting severe impunity. And this is the basis for Bill Velto, who's going to be federally prosecuted. He's not remaining in office. But also the entity that's inside the Upper Public Library, they're going to prison. The entity's keeping the fake sun in Ontario yesterday, again showing you that pattern of clear targeting and the mentally ill targeting. He's honking his horn while he's sitting still in the truck the moment that I began moving across the grass, okay? West Coast Arborist is a documented gang stalker. This is P.O.C. License 366764, and the vehicle license 51602 Edward 3. That's activity creation while they move across the street. All right, it's all based on stalking me. That's why this fake sun's gonna move as I move, and that's why it's here in the morning, and it's also over me in the evening, where the entity is gang stalking me by things like helicopters. P.O.C. It is currently 9:10 a.m. This is the same intersection. So I'm referring to the addresses, the location with regard to my hyper-organized evidence with regard to prosecuting the corporate entity that is the same public entity. It's malice, as I show you companies engaging in government conduct. He's stalking in the path with the orange jacket. He was remaining in alignment with me. That's a demon. But this is the same location. So my evidence showing you video when I'm on that side of the street, this is why I'm showing you my location, because this is the same ecological address where the sun is not going to be over the same street at the Upland Public Library. Okay? The entity's engaging in the P.O.C. and it's a statewide system, and every business in the state is being prosecuted. This is P.O.C. It's currently 9:11 a.m.
It is currently 5:20 p.m. So the documentation reflects the entity that's engaging in this mentally deranged pattern of conduct, stalkers that surround you under the guise of being there at the same place that they ostensibly under the law have a right to be, engaging in what is public corruption so as to exhibit what is the opposite of how stalking is supposed to appear and what it is presumably executed as. And this is all under the illusion regarding the entity that is in a specific environment, which shows stalking in absurdly psychotic and highly obsessive and deranged manners, such as what I'm documenting inside of the library. in Upland, California, by both the employees and those that are coming inside of the library to merely participate the forum that the Upland Public Library provides to engage in criminal activity. And this is exactly what Stater Brothers is engaging in, providing a forum for the people of the state to go and participate in terrorism. And that is why they go to prison for that. The employees are going to prison while the people of the state are engaging in terrorism to be federally prosecuted as severely. And you're going to prison when you're serially engaging in that, just as the people of the state at the Upland Public Library are subject to, and they are documented with regard to serially engaging in facilitation, as are employees engaging in facilitation, not any constitutionally protected right, which does not exist, to engage in gang stalking where you work, which is the psychopathic behavioral pattern of demons that are maintaining a surveillance society. It includes Carissa, Elizabeth, Alan, Adam Tuckerman, Ashley, Elizabeth, Marty, Sheena. These are the demons that are state actors, but these are demon-possessed people. They're mentally ill, and their mentally ill disorder is evident in the criminal pattern of conduct that they engage in, and that is underway at the Upland Public Library. The entity is at 5 p.m., from 5 p.m. until 5:06 p.m., engaging in what is psychopathic pacing, while the entity is sharing in what is not only criminal. You're going to prison for stalking in helicopters. You are exhibiting to the military tribunal that you are to be specifically confined in a mental facility for a series of mental examinations based on the psychopathic conduct of stalking someone, and then literally having a psychological breakdown while you're stalking, such as pacing, and doing so in a helicopter. This is what the demons are doing, and the demons inside of the library are engaging in psychopathic pacing when they are in the building and the helicopter is flying over. Pacing is ongoing as an entity. They're walking around, crossing path, they're pacing. They're in the engineered light under the fake sun that's still over the same Upland Public Library, like it was this morning when the military flew over my head in a smaller white plane during the 9 a.m. hour. They are pacing, and they are mentally ill, and they are not secretly engaging in criminal activity, nor are they secretly deranged, engaging in obsessive behavior that they like to conceal as appearing as normal. That is only the case when you are ignorant about the environment that is the stage where criminal surveillance is underway. Monitoring spirits are stalking you and following you around in buildings, and stalking you with physical activity around you, and stalking you with noise, following you with noise, which is psychopathic as well. This is what the demon-possessed do before they commit a homicide. All right, and they're doing so while the military is flying in circles over the library, and they're doing so from 5 p.m. to 5:06 p.m. And Adam Tuckerman is inside of the reference area under the fake sun, which I captured in images. He is going to prison, and so is every other employee of the Upland Public Library. The entity is subject to federal prison while the serial stalkers are present, and the entity is maintaining an ongoing cycle of gang stalkers coming in and out of the library, maintaining surveillance for a series of hours, and going and then leaving. All they're doing is maintaining surveillance inside of the library. The city of Upland is not actually interested in maintaining a library. The library is tantamount to, it's analogous to maintaining a nail salon when the real purpose is trafficking drugs, okay? Maintaining a masseuse, a parlor, when the purpose is prostitution. That's what the government is doing pertaining to surveillance. Okay, so this is why the entity has a specific environment. It is superseded. If it was actually about literacy, then you would not need the fake sun there, and the government certainly would not be engaging in what it's telling on everybody that is going to prison, stalking in helicopter like that. And they are all, Elizabeth is threatening my life. Elizabeth is speaking to the fact that she is mentally ill and she is going to be treated for her psychopathic condition while she is stalking me with helicopters with the government. This is the entity that shares in that criminal activity, and it is legally analyzed as such, as they will each be federally prosecuted, and they are each making these admissions regarding their severe instability as they're engaging in the pattern of conduct with the demon that is flying for 6 minutes by helicopter, which is as though each one of them are stalking in that helicopter. They are holding hands, engaging in that. And it's the same thing with regard to Adam Tuckerman monitoring my vagina, while demons of both genders maintain surveillance by stalking in the path inside and outside of that bathroom, making sure that I am always surrounded, and also engaging in that with minor children, which is beyond deranged. It's also sexually motivated and predatory conduct by demons that are engaging in things such as stalking in helicopters. And that is the entity on whose behalf my vagina is kept under under surveillance at the Upland Public Library. The employees are documented, and there is a PDF that will be published so that you can see the images of the terrorists who are going to prison. The entity has the fake sun in Upland, California, and so this is going back in, just like last night, the entity stalking by helicopter at the Ovid Family Community Library. You're always looking back at what Pearl and the United States Postal Service is doing under the fake sun, which is where it remained over me in Ontario at 123 West Hope Boulevard as I walked to the post office, back to the city center senior apartments, and back to the post office, and back to the city senior citizen apartments, the John Stewart apartments, where the entity kept that fake sun, and it's in Upland, California today, which is more evidence regarding mental illness and criminal activity of a federal nature regarding terrorism, where terrorists that are engaging in systematic facilitation as an entity are going to prison. And that includes Adam Tuckerman and all of the employees that are by virtue of employment at the venue are engaging in the conspiracy to commit murder, which is what the city of Upland is engaging in. And the entities engaging in this conduct, while Pearl and the United States Postal Service in Ontario, California, are not at the same time maintaining this environment, which is what I'm showing you. So I want to document that. This is speaking to the violence that the Upland Public Library employees, personnel, and the people of the state are sharing in. And these are not humans. This is the same entity that has a propensity, the pattern, what these demons are actually doing while they're gang stalking. They are the same population that consume human flesh. They consume babies, they have sex with children in particular, and they also engage in creating souvenirs in doing so. This is what is the sex trafficking, putting it on the internet, even selling it. They are engaging in the demonic system of what is gang stalking, which is surveillance of a satanic nature. That's what is relevant regarding the fake sun, which is as probative as having a surveillance camera that you can see hoisted up on the top of the building with regard to any means of prosecuting law enforcement for that, which is an unconstitutional and unlawful means of surveillance. Okay, were those the facts and circumstances pertaining to something that the government doesn't have a right to do. The fake sun is probative regarding proof of surveillance because it is supernatural, and the entity is engaging in what is keeping it over me while they are engaging in this pattern of harassment, such as stalking by helicopter. And this is the entity of psychos that are silently voicing what is psychologically harmful threats to my safety, my well-being, my liberty, and my life. That includes Kiki, Adam Tuckerman, Sheena, Marty, Elizabeth, Carissa, Alyssa, and Alicia, Ashley, all of these demons that are inside of the library, including Anthony that's stalking me by helicopter at the 7-Eleven. Everybody on Euclid Avenue is gang stalking while the entity flies over the Upland Civic Center. Remember the cult at the Methodist church at I believe that is, I want to say 8th Street and Euclid Avenue, where the entity is flying over me while I'm walking past that fake church with the fake sun over me. They're stalking with the entity while the demons are flying over the Upland Public Library. So is the 7-Eleven and the employees that are going to prison at 240 North Euclid Avenue. They're all under the fake sun, which remains over me as I walk right back toward Ontario. They're all sharing in that together. The employees are in relevant position in my face, communicating that threat, and they're going to prison for it. Both being a terrorist and then threatening an American citizen in the way in which the entity is doing inside of the building, while their psychopathic co-defendant is flying in circles over the building, where, by the way, you work, you're going straight to prison for it. But the entity is engaging in this, and this is the surefire prosecution of a population engaging in that with the military. This is an entity that's doing so with what are referred to as serial stalkers. All serial stalkers are going to prison as well. The entity is engaging in this, and this is not limited to the library. Molly Super, Colin, SHEEHY of the San Bernardino County Fire Department, the Upland Police Department are always stalking, engaging in surveillance. That entire department is engaging in surveillance. They're just stalkers. And the entity's engaging in that, and they are doing so with regard to the prosecution of that agency for that. And these are demons that are obsessed. Their obsession is exhibited through what is ongoing retaliatory conduct, harassment, psychological torture tactics, such as stalking it over a building that I'm inside of, filled with engineer light, under the fake sun, with a bunch of demons that pace all around you while the entity sounds helicopter activity. Okay, this is the P.O.C. It is currently 5:30 p.m. And that PDF with regard to the pattern of conduct that is shared with the venues such as Ovid Family Community Library and the evidence which is mutually exclusive regarding the evidence of both mental illness and the evidence of surveillance and furtherance of my murder, conspiring my murder with that government that has provided evidence against the City of Ontario, the Ovid Family Community Library, and the City of Upland, the Upland Public Library. And this is evidence which is mutually exclusive. Not only is the sun not going to rise and set at the Ovid Library like I have on the record, but it's also not going to be over the Upland Public Library while the evidence shows that it's remaining at all hours of the day over the Ovid Family Community Library, where those demons are already surrounded with evidence. And everywhere that I go, you're looking at the evidence of everyone else that is evidently targeting, and also the original demons that are in a PDF documenting them, showing their faces and their names with regard to gang stalking. It is also notable that the Upland Public Library and the Ovid Family Community Library, the City of Ontario and the City of Upland, both committed kidnapping with the U.S. military, for which the employees are going to prison as well. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 5:31 p.m. All right, ARCO, located at 193 South Euclid Avenue at 7:06 p.m., capturing the fake sun. ARCO is stalking. ARCO and companies are stalking people, humans. Establishments are stalking in furtherance of murder. This is corporate entities terrorizing American citizens. And they're doing so across the globe as well. This is the legal standard. Corporations like ARCO are engaging in stalking in order to engage in what is their business as the guise for murder. Okay, murder committed as an entity, which ARCO is the corporate entity stalking me while the entity is maintaining flight over my head. And ARCO is gang stalking in the past that is profiting while engaging in surveillance with that government that is flying over me. And ARCO is in relevant position. ARCO's employees are in relevant position. ARCO is monitoring and making money off of that criminal presence in the path in that specific environment. And this is also the facilitating venue that is adjacent to the ARCO. And remember, I'm just pointing out the venues where I'm located. Directly in alignment to me across the street is the entity that foolishly poisoned food that's immediately going to result in your being prosecuted, and any immigrants at that Mexican restaurant are being deported, where that applies anywhere, even if it's at an African nightclub. It doesn't matter if it's at the KKK meeting. It doesn't matter what race you are. If you're an immigrant, you're getting deported. This is the entity that's engaging, and at that, I believe it's Moriscos. I'll confirm that venue, but I documented it this morning, and they're under the fake sun, and they are stalking with the government that provides more liability to them. The more that it is a matter of testimony and evidence in court that a company has been terrorizing any American citizen, doing so with impunity, as evidence will demonstrate, in furtherance of murder while profiting. This is the RICO case pursuant to terrorism. Those companies will not exist, and they will be exhausted financially. This is the P.O.C. It's currently 7:08 p.m. in Upland, California. It is currently 7:17 p.m. and the people of the state at 1506 North Euclid Avenue. This is identification of the entire entity, but in relevant position and on a serial basis, while the entity that, again, stalking by helicopter at the Upland Public Library is stalking while I'm walking south on Euclid Avenue from Upland to Ontario. All that's legally relevant. The fact that I'm being targeted by the government and a population as I go from city to city is a prosecution of how you prosecute a population, the entire state. But the entity is engaging in this, and at 1506 North Euclid Avenue, which is the case very often, the entity is targeting, stalking by helicopter, flying over my head, flying in relevant position, visibly, that is conspicuously engaging in an act of terrorism at 1506 North Euclid Avenue, which is a basis for federal prison for the people of that state at that facilitating venue where that fake sun is in alignment to me. And that is identification of a gang stalker who was subject to prison. All right. In addition to all their co-defendants that are on the street, targeting with them and targeting with the people of the state who are subject to what is essentially strict liability basis regarding being prosecuted with the government, levying war with that population. And the entity is engaging in this at it's currently 7:18 p.m. The entity is stalking by commercial plane, hovering, flying west over the street while I'm at
now Ladini, that's at 5th Street. Again, the entity, what the government is doing directly is already established. This is the prosecution of the population. The entity that is gang stalking vicariously. This is P.O.C. 1506 North Euclid Avenue. This is a serial stalker, and it's the basis of federal prison for everybody in that household. This is P.O.C. It's 10:10 p.m. and that's the military that is engaging in criminal activity in concert with the City of Ontario, and that's also why the entity is flying miles over to engage in what is stalking in my path. They didn't do a U-turn back there. They didn't do a U-turn up in the front. They did a U-turn right in alignment with me. Gang stalking, criminal surveillance, federal stalking, in concert with the City of Ontario, the Ovid Family Community Library. This is demonic and it's also criminal. The City of Ontario is engaged in 24-hour surveillance. This is what Kevin is doing, coming out at 10 o'clock at night, just so that the entity can engage in what is creating light activity like this while the entity was stalking by helicopter. Kevin is the same one that committed battery, which is the violence that the entity, the City of Ontario, the people of the state commit with the military, are severely mentally ill. While they're engaging in this gang conduct, it's the ongoing outward demonstration of severe mental instability. The entity is also stalking by helicopter, doing so for, again, another 15, 20 minutes tonight. This is the entity that's engaging that everybody inside of the Upland Public Library is going to prison, just like I spoke to. The entity was in Upland stalking. This is psychopathic pacing. The entity is maintaining flights from the Ontario National Airport, and this is not that. This is the entity stalking using commercial planes of the airlines that are cooperating with the Ontario National Airport. That is gang stalking, and so is the City of Ontario. This is Paul Leon. 10:11 p.m. The vehicles of the City of Ontario are engaging in what is the criminal pattern of conduct, and Paul Leon's going to prison for this. He's being federally prosecuted for conspiring my murder with the United States military, with the people of the state, just in the same way that the City of Upland is doing, and what is the state of California. This is P.O.C. The entity is engaging in that to have a second plane. This is the entity that's engaging in what is an ongoing wealth of resources regarding stalking using such commercial planes, engaging in that P.O.C. That's what that tells you, for there to be a second plane. The demons are inside of the City of Ontario venue. They're under the guise of cleaning. This is the entity including what's supposed to be their jobs for what is the criminal pattern of conduct. Paul Leon's going to federal prison for it. All right? This is the entity doing so at 5 o'clock in the morning, doing so at 2 o'clock in the morning. This is the entity that they're not engaging in anything legitimate. It's criminal presence and light activity in the path in the engineered environment, while the military presents what is against you in this environment. Okay, this is P.O.C. It is currently 10:12 p.m. where the entity is using the sprinklers. Everything about the city that's engaging in surveillance is relevant to activity creation. This is the third plane. You need to understand the entity is engaging what is exposing mental illness by a population. Psychopathic pacing lets you know that everybody in that building is mentally ill, not just the demon that's engaging in that conduct of psychopathic pacing using planes and helicopters. They are all mentally ill. The entire City of Ontario is being defunded. P.O.C. This is the City of Ontario that's engaging in monitoring. They're doing so with Saris Regis Group, with MIG Real Estate, with IG Partners, the Ontario Town Square Townhomes, with the John Stewart Company, the Senior Citizen Apartment Complex, the Housing Community, College of Laverne, University of Law, and this is literally the City of Ontario that is out engaging in criminal elements of monitoring with the demons that are stalking in the aircrafts that are, by virtue of presence, the nuisance that's created, the repeated engagement in it. This is the prosecution of the airport, which is the prosecution of the city, which is the prosecution of the government. This is the entity that's being prosecuted for targeting me specifically. All right, doing so, by the way, at 10:19 p.m. The entities engage in this while they are stalking, flying over the senior center, where the people of the state are gang stalking as employees of the City of Ontario, gang stalking. Their work schedules, I will prosecute them. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 10:19 p.m. and any immigrants, they're being deported. The City of Ontario facilitates terrorism, hires immigrants, and engages in the pattern of conduct with them. They're being deported. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 10:19 p.m. P.O.C. And the Ontario police are stalking in the path off of Sultana B Street around the Ontario Fire Department, stalking with sirens, monitoring me with the military. They're all demons that consume human flesh together, engage in infecting each other with HIV, stalking in the middle of the night under things like a fake moon, a fake sun, engaging in this satanic conduct, criminal activity, doing so in police vehicles and in fire trucks, which is exactly why the city of Ontario is getting shut down. Doing so in planes and in helicopters, which is exactly why the city of Ontario is getting shut down. And these demons that are formally poisoning the title of what is the military, they're being committed. They are being dishonorably discharged. They're going to be put in their place in military tribunals. They're being prosecuted, and so is the Ontario Police Department, for treason, and they're going to be committed. They're going to be committed because of the demons that are the people of the state stalking right along with them, which is terrorism, levying war. And these cockroaches, the people of the state that are monitoring vagina with the military, doing so at 11 o'clock. Let's look at the time right now, where Paul Leon's being prosecuted with the body of evidence of the city of Ontario gang stalking me. Doing so at the Ontario City Hall as well. This is the evidence that's going to put him in prison as well, and it's for treason. All right, the city of Ontario using the lights on the roads and the highways, the traffic lights, to engage in monitoring me, stalking on the roads and the highways. You are absurdly out of your mind. You're psychotic. In fact, you're not even human. That's why they consume the feces of babies and have sex with them and traffic them. Remember, this is a child trafficking system pursuant to what is gang stalking me. And that's why they're stalking in planes. And this is the third video. This is an entity that's engaging in what is ongoing obsession. The Ontario Police Department is obsessed. They're being disbanded. The Ontario Fire Department is obsessed. That's not a fire department. It's a waste of money, and it will not be wasted anymore. The city of Ontario is obsessed with me. There are sex offenders engaging in what is a failed sacrifice and is being shut down and defunded. No terrorist is getting any government assistance, and government assistance is coming in the form of paying terrorists for dressing up for play like their police and fire department, and they're not. They're all around here inside of the Civic Center, stalking in the parking lot. P.O.C. It is currently 11:25 p.m.